right, everybody, we should be live and recording, and we're here. And it is Friday, September the 12th. I'm excited. It's a beautiful fall morning, and I love this weather. So if you guys haven't been out in it, please go. Just go soak it up. It is so nice. So the topic for today is how to reduce sex drive in males. How to reduce sex drive in males. And you guys, I get these topics from the internet. And so of what people are searching. And so this is a topic that people are searching for. And so we want to answer it. And so I'm so curious to see what you guys would say. Because I'm like, I have answers, but I won't say my answers. Okay, who wants to dive first? Mary Hannah, you're having an excellent hair day. I love how
Thank you.
So let's go. Let's let you go first.
Let the hair speak for itself.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's interesting, right? The first thing that comes to my mind is okay, couples with mismatched libido that often feel like it's the other person that has the problem. You want too much sex or you don't want enough sex. And something that I work with a lot of my heterosexual couples is how to get across to each other what sex means to them currently. And so it's for a lot of women, sex means responsibility, it means pressure, it means if I don't do this good enough, then I'm a failure as a wife. For men, sex is their chance at intimacy and connection. For some men, it's the only time in their life that they feel comfortable being emotionally vulnerable or close to someone. It's an outlet for that. And I also find that when men feel insecure about whether their wife or girlfriend, whoever wants them, it makes them want sex more because they're constantly trying to search for the answer to that question.
Yeah.
And so whenever I work with couples to help them understand better what sex means to them right now, how to meet in the middle, how to be compassionate about that. And then whenever we can lay down that foundation of security, I find that then the libido starts to equal out on both sides better. I find that men tend to think about sex less in terms of, does my partner really want me? I really need closeness to my partner and I still feel really disconnected from them. What do? I need to be having more sex because I need to be knowing if they really want me or not. Once we can balance that out, I notice that libido tends to equal out, but I also think that is different for each couple as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Excellent answer. All right. Who wants to go next?
Yeah.
Okay, go, Jessica.
One of the things that I think is really important to remember is everything is exhaustible. There is not something that truly is insatiable, because it makes me think of the scene in Matilda with the little boy who likes to eat the chocolate cake, and she put the massive chocolate cake down there. Anything of a good thing, too much, you can have too much of anything. And so I would want to ask about what are your masturbatory practices? What does that look like? Are you owning your own sexual sovereignty? Are we taking care of ourselves in that way? Because I've worked with some of my clients that just well, no, I don't do that. And I'm like, friend, you have this option that's available to yourself to relieve some of these issues versus potentially terrorizing your partner. What are we doing? And so it's thinking about that. It's also very much what Mary Hannah said of what needs to be filled, because a lot of people think the sex tank needs to be filled when it's really the intimacy and connection tank that needs to be filled. Now, the intimacy and connection tank leads off from the sex tank in that some people can get intimacy and connection from sex, and some people struggle with that. It feels more of a physical need. And so else are we taking care of ourselves physically? Are you working out? Are you exhausting yourself to where, are you challenging yourself in other ways? Like, how are we channeling that energy? Because I think a lot of that energy is just energy, and we're focusing on it because it provides a sensation that we enjoy. Cool. Completely understand that. And is that the only thing we enjoy? Like, can we find other things that we enjoy?
Right. When I think about reducing male sexuality, I think our sexual desire, reduce it to what and where is it starting from? I think that's my question. I feel like somehow inherently in there's this judgment. And I think I want to remove the judgment. Most males can procreate every day, and they want to do procreation activities every day. I have heard guys say the older they get, they still want it every day, but they know they can't handle it every day. And so I do want to kind of just normalize male sexual appetite, that it is oftentimes higher than a female sexual appetite because females can only procreate one time a month when they're ovulation. So if we just look at the difference in procreation, like just biology and when you can procreate, and if it's only desire for sex is only driven by procreation, I mean, all other things then there's a difference there. There's a gap there. And I would love for everybody to come to a more of a, how can we work together, as opposed to you're wrong, you're bad. You're wrong, you're bad, you need to change. But no, that's where you are. This is where I am. Where can we find partnership? Where can we find equality? Where can we find balance and common ground? That's what I'd love about that. And if you look in culture, there are often times when we're essentially telling men they're bad men. They're bad men for wanting sex so much. And I've seen some of my really good guys be hurt by that, or not being able to speak up and not be able to have a voice. And so I don't think it's a matter of reducing. I think it's a matter of partnership and everything that Jessica and Mary Hannah have said already and adding it all in. Okay, Amanda, what would you like to add to the conversation?
Feeling kind of like destabilized. One of my cats just broke something really big. That's for a second. So,
what do you need?
Well, I need to get rid of this cat, but we're not getting rid of the cat. But no, I can tell you, what came to mind when you introduced this topic. Because at first, confusion. I was like, why would we want to reduce sex drive? That's just like initial thing. But what came to mind was one of my kids was a really poor sleeper, like would not sleep at night. And I remember the pediatrician saying, put them to bed even earlier. And I'm like, if he won't sleep 5 hours, why would he sleep 10 hours? Anyway, the whole message was sleep begets sleep. If you actually go to sleep earlier, you're going to get better sleep. Instead of trying to reduce the sex drive, I thought, well, have sex. Like, you want to reduce, have more sex. Like, make sure that I think it might have been you, Mary Hannah, like, what you were first saying, like, or maybe Jessica, like, don't create scarcity. Do your best to make sure it's happening regularly. And that both your partners are on the same page. So I apologize. I'm a little distracted. I'll be back and clean up the glass.
Oh, it's okay. We understand. So, yeah, that is an interesting thing. That is an interesting concept. I do. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. So it just makes me think of, I don't know if anybody's familiar with Elise Myers. She's a content creator and I really love her work. I follow her on Facebook. She has a sweater that says, go find less. Like, if I'm too much, go find less. And I do feel like there's some of that vibe in there. Like this is your partner. Like, this is the person that you pick to spend your life with. Like, do we really want to minimize and reduce and change and alter the person that we want to be with because maybe we didn't pick them for the right reasons.
Ooh, that's so good. That's so good. All right, Mary Hannah, did you want to say anything?
Yeah, it does make me think about, how this conversation really does come around the idea of polarizing and villainizing, oralizing, like libido or lack thereof. Like, I feel like there are a lot of like women that maybe worry, like, does my husband have a sex addiction? And it becomes that idea of even like adding that stigma to it further when it's possible that like, your husband is just y'all are creating a sense of scarcity, or there's just such a taboo around it. Your husband doesn't feel like they can talk. Or it's like maybe there are just maladaptive coping mechanisms happening in the relationship right now. And if we can actually answer some of the deeper questions that are happening, we can get to the heart of what's going on. And it's not really about sex. I feel like that's what happens a lot of times is it's not really about sex. It's about intimacy and closeness.
Yeah, that is so good. That is so good. I think if anybody takes away anything, it's having the conversation and being open to partnership in this. And I think every couple is going to be different. And so being okay in whatever that difference is and finding what works for you. For example, if I have a couple and they come into the office and say, we're not normal, we only have sex once a year. Okay, is it working for you? Like, is that working for you? Then let's not try to be normal. It works for you. Also, if I have the couple who's like, we're having sex 5 days a week. Is that working for you? Does that work for you? Okay, let's work it. Then that's fine. That's working for you. And so the idea of decreasing a desire, what are we trying to decrease it to? Are we trying to make somebody fit into some arbitrary mold? Because so much of life and relationships are subjective in where you are. Also, the concept that, and you guys probably have this experience where you're very different with one person than you are with the other. You're still yourself, but they're like my best friend, when we're together, I'm funnier with her than I am with my friend that I call almost my sister. Like it is so funny. But with my best friend from 7th grade, we're funny together. And so there are just differences in relationships that allow. And so I say that to say is have the conversation in your relationship and figure out where all of the parts and pieces of you can fit. And then, like Mary Hannah is saying, we may need to look at different ways to get needs. Well, actually, I think it was you, Jessica, different ways to get needs met. But I really just want people making sure you're having the conversation and we're not demonizing anybody for anything. Like it's okay. And when I think about male appetite in general, I think about if anybody's ever seen a teenage boy eat, like you like, oh my God. And we would never tell a teenage boy, like, decrease your appetite because we know they're growing. We know, especially the ones that are like getting taller by the day and like can put away a full pizza. You're just like, that's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot. So, okay, Jessica, go ahead.
Oh, it's just, I have a fabulous story about my brother because I have a very vivid memory of him taking an entire package of cold hot dogs and like eating them mindlessly in front of the fridge. And then he ate the rest of a package of bread. And I was like, why did you not put them together? Or why did you not like heat them up? I was like, oh, I was hungry. And I think that can be so reminiscent of how sometimes we treat our sex lives of like, I don't know why I want it. I just want it. Like, I don't want to think about why I want it. I'm just hungry. I'm just hungry for this. Mm-hmm. And so I think as adults, because like teenagers, like I have one, they can be a little mindless and not thoughtful sometimes. And so like, how can we bring back the mindfulness? How can we bring back the intention? How can we bring back the, like, you're not just a creature of habit. You're not just a mindless eating machine. Like, what's going on? How do you process this? What's going on for you inside of your body? And like helping with that.
Okay. Jessica, can you give 3 steps, tips for somebody to bring mindfulness into their sex life, sex desire, sexuality? What?
Yes. One, be mindful about everything. This is not just about sex. So do you have to pee? Are you ignoring when you need to pee? Are you ignoring when you need to eat? Those are biological impulses as well. So if we're not listening to all of our body, we're not hearing what it has to say. And so being very mindful of all of the impulses and realizing that they're connected to how we live in our lives. So that, I think, understanding why. So just kind of going back to hunger. Sometimes I'm not hungry. I want a taste in my mouth.
Oh,
that's different. Like I'm craving a texture. I'm craving an experience. I'm craving a flavor, but I'm not really hungry. I want the flavor. And so like, what does that mean? And what am I seeking out when I'm trying to do these things and I'm trying to meet this need? Because it's a different need than pure hunger. And understanding that I just keep going back to the hunger metaphor. If we're starving, we can't go to an all-you-can-eat buffet. You have to be slow and deliberate and intentional, because you're going to get a stomach ache. You're going to get sick. Like you are going to cramp up. There are going to be problems if you just go from 0 to 100. Like that's that moderation. So like gentle, mindful. And I know sometimes that can feel like, oh my God, I'm starving though. Like I can't just take one bite. And it's like, just try it. See how you feel after 20 minutes. See how you feel after 30 minutes. Like it might settle something, which makes things feel a little bit better.
Yeah. That is so, that's it. Because I tell couples that when they're in front of me and they haven't had sex, and one partner's like, you ask the question like, what would feel good for this relationship? Well, I think we need to have sex every day. Okay. Y'all haven't had sex in 2 years. So I see how you could think it's every day. But kind of like the hunger metaphor, let's get you guys to consistently having sex probably once a week. That'd be a nice goal I'd like us to start with. And then let's see how much you want then. And let's get these other relationship pieces in place. And so I think you guys have all said a version of think about it, like slow down and think about like what's really needed here. And know that people change. And so what's true today might not be true tomorrow. What my appetite was today may not be what my appetite is tomorrow. And because of life and everything. Okay. All right. Winding down, final thought. All right, Mary Hannah, we'll start with you.
Yeah. Definitely echoing what everyone is saying, where like getting through this sort of like feeling of mismatch or feeling of judgment with your partner really requires both of you to look beyond. It requires you to look beyond just what's happening right in front of you to what is happening deeper. You know, like, again, what deep relationship questions are maybe you both trying to answer either with sex or without sex? Are you testing each other? You know, like, are there invisible underground tests happening of like, if I initiate, will she reject me again? Or if I say no, will he still love me? And you got to dig to that deeper, like subterranean level and realize you cannot continue this way. Those tests are not strengthening your relationship. They are weakening it, and they are making you feel more separate. So reaching beyond together to what are the deeper needs and questions that you have? How can you meet those first? And then tackle sex. Sex will not be the answer to those questions. You need to like have that deep connection to each other to answer those deep-seated relationship questions. And then sex becomes a completely different ballgame with completely different sets of responsibility and rules. We don't want to answer deep relationship questions with sex. Sex is sex. If it fails, it's fine. We want y'all to be okay regardless of what's happening with that. Because that in most cases, that's when sex actually becomes more frequent.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. Okay. All right. Amanda, do you want to weigh in with some final thoughts?
I'm sure. I'm still processing a little bit what Jessica was saying a few minutes ago about bringing mindfulness into the bedroom. And really, expanding that like body mindfulness outside of the bedroom, thinking about how are you nourishing your body? How are you responding to your autonomic needs, like going to the bathroom? Things like that, is so important. And I don't think we talk about enough. We focus often on the dyad or, what's going on with communication, but knowing your body is so important. So make sure you're giving yourself the time that you need to and leaning in with exactly what feels good and what doesn't, like just getting to know yourself.
All right, Jessica, did you want to say anything? My final thought?
Have a conversation. Try not to I understand the inclination of how do I lower my partner's sex drive on the internet? But take that with a large grain of salt and potentially seek out professionals that are able to help that in a more responsible and healthy manner. Because I can imagine if somebody just handed me a sheaf of printed out papers from the internet of this is how you fix your problem, would not go over well.
Right. I want to give permission to everybody, men and women, but I've had a good amount of men who sit in my office and be ashamed of how much they like sex, how much they want sex, their sexual desire, feel that they're very scared it could be damaging to them, their relationship, their partner. And I want people sitting in responsibility as opposed to fear. So driving a car can be incredibly dangerous. It can also get you places that you've never gone before. A gun, incredibly dangerous. It can also protect and give you a sense of safety. And so I think sex has definitely, we won't deny through our history and experience, it has been helpful. Harmful and hurtful. But there's also this wonderful, beautiful aspect of it as well that has brought people together and connected people together. And so whatever your sexual desire is, I want you to be able to own that and speak to that. And so if you feel, and I don't think you have a really high sex drive, it's always funny. It feels like my guys who are very normal and very respectful, those are the ones who are like, oh my God, I don't want to hurt anybody with this lust or desire that I have. Right. And so I really want to speak to those guys of being okay that you want what you want and you like what you like and negotiate from a point of responsibility. I really do like sex. I really would like to be in a relationship that has sex 2 to 3 times a week. I'd like to find a partner who's open and willing to have partnership with me with sex, as opposed to being, hiding it and then being embarrassed by it. And then it becoming a whole nother festering thing in a relationship that now comes out in weird and crazy ways. And so that's what I'd love. So to all my really good guys out there who are struggling and feeling ashamed because they want sex, I really want to give you permission to just be. You are who you are and it's okay. Just like an appetite, there's some people who eat one small meal a day and they are completely happy and satiated. And then there are people, I'm going to mess with your brother, Jessica, who will just stand in front of the refrigerator and eat hot dogs, and you are where you are and it's okay. We're so varied and different. There are people who can't listen to music. There are people who can't get out of the bed without listening to music. And so we are such a varied, beautiful species. And so enjoy all of the colors of rainbow in your sexuality. And if you're a person who has a bigger appetite, just say it and acknowledge it and then figure out for yourself, what's going to work well for you. So that's it for today. Ladies, this was a fabulous conversation. Absolutely delicious. So you guys have a great, great day. And to anybody listening to us on the internet, because we are live on Facebook and I think LinkedIn is we're here. So if you're a person who falls into that, I think my sex drive is too high. I think my partner's sex drive is too high. then definitely call us and let us help you. Help us help you by calling us and figuring out how to balance this thing in life. Because I think for a lot of couples, they don't really know how to talk about sex. And so we go into these conversations, then start people getting blamed, feelings getting hurt. And so we're not getting anywhere. And so it is amazing what conversations can happen when you have a third party present to just do a little direction, a little education, a little understanding, and so definitely please come in. All right, ladies, y'all have a great day. Here, bye-bye.